Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for having me here today. Now, I have a question for you. When was the last time you genuinely stopped caring about what other people think? I'm talking about that glorious moment when you just let go like a balloon floating into the air, free from all the weight of judgment. You ever had one of those moments? If not, trust me, you're missing out. Today, we're going to talk about the art of not giving a damn, but let's put a twist on it. We're talking about not giving a damn wisely. Because here's the thing, if you don't give a damn but you're giving it to the wrong things, you might end up in a really weird place. So let's get this straight. This is not about being reckless, rude, or unkind. No. It's about picking and choosing what deserves your energy. It's about making the conscious decision to put your dams where they really matter. Be selective with your dams. You only have so much energy to give, so it's crucial to be intentional about where you direct it. If you're constantly worried about every little opinion or criticism, you'll drain yourself. Think of your energy as a limited resource. Imagine you only get a certain number of dams to give each day. If you waste them on things that don't truly matter, like random opinions from strangers or situations beyond your control, you'll have nothing left for the things that genuinely bring you joy or help you grow. Instead, choose wisely. Focus on what aligns with your values, what pushes you forward, and what feeds your well-being. The things that actually deserve your attention are those that shape your happiness, your growth, and your purpose. By carefully considering where you invest your energy, you'll create a life that feels more fulfilling and less weighed down by unnecessary stress. Don't take everything personally. It's easy to slip into the trap of thinking that the actions or words of others are directly about you. Someone cuts you off in traffic and suddenly it feels like an attack on your very existence. Someone gives you a sideways look at a party and you wonder what you did to deserve it. The truth is, most people's actions are more about their own lives and struggles than they are about you. We all have our personal battles, our insecurities, and our moments of stress that affect the way we behave. When you take things personally, you're giving up control over how you feel. You're letting someone else's mood or behavior dictate your emotional state. Instead of internalizing everything, try stepping back and recognizing that other people's actions are often reflections of what they're going through, not a judgment of who you are. By learning to detach from the idea that everything revolves around you, you free yourself from unnecessary hurt and frustration. You start to realize that their words or actions don't define you. The only opinion that truly matters is yours. When you let go of taking everything personally, you begin to live with more peace, understanding, and emotional freedom. The fear of judgment is a myth. We all have this voice in our heads that tells us we're being watched, scrutinized, and judged by everyone around us. It can feel like every decision we make, every word we speak is somehow being evaluated by an invisible audience. But here's the truth: most people are too busy with their own lives to be concerned about yours. Everyone has their own worries, their own insecurities, and their own preoccupations that make them less focused on you than you think. The idea that the world is constantly judging you is a story you've told yourself to explain the discomfort you feel in certain situations. In reality, we're all so caught up in our own worlds that we rarely have the time or energy to critically analyze other people's actions. When you start to understand that the fear of judgment is more of a self-imposed barrier than an actual reality, you realize how freeing it can be to let go of that fear. You stop holding yourself back from taking risks, making mistakes, or expressing your true self because you're no longer afraid of what others might think. And here's the kicker: when you stop fearing judgment, you actually become more magnetic. You begin to attract the people who align with your true essence, the ones who appreciate you for who you really are, not for who you think you should be. The myth of judgment is just that, a myth. Once you see through it, you start living more authentically, more confidently, and without the constant weight of worrying about how others perceive you. You give yourself permission to be free. Embrace failure like a comedian in a slapstick scene. In the world of slapstick comedy, failure isn't seen as something to avoid or fear. It's part of the act. A comedian trips, slips on a banana peel, or gets hit by a pie in the face, and the audience bursts into laughter. They don't see these failures as mistakes. They see them as the heart of the performance. In the same way, failure in life shouldn't be viewed as something that defines you or stops you in your tracks. Instead, see it as part of your journey, a chance to learn, grow, and laugh at yourself along the way. We often fear failure because we've been taught to avoid it, to be perfect, and to succeed at everything we do. But the truth is, failure is where the magic happens. It's where you discover what doesn't work, which in turn teaches you what does. Just like in a slapstick routine, the more a comedian embraces their clumsy mishaps, the more entertaining and engaging they become. It's their willingness to fail over and over that makes them great at their craft. Life works in the same way. Every time you fail, you gain experience. Each misstep gives you the opportunity to refine your approach and try again, this time with more wisdom and resilience. When you embrace failure with the same enthusiasm as a comedian embraces their pratfall, you begin to see it as a stepping stone rather than an obstacle. You learn to laugh at your mistakes instead of letting them define your worth. It's not about being perfect or avoiding failure. It's about using those moments to fuel your next attempt. So when life throws you a curveball, take a deep breath, fall down with style, get back up, and keep moving forward. Because like any good comedian knows, a great performance isn't about avoiding the falls, it's about how you bounce back from them. Drop the need for validation. It's easy to get caught up in seeking approval from others, to measure your worth by how many likes you get on social media, how many compliments you receive, or how many people agree with your opinions. We live in a world where external validation often feels like the fuel that drives us, but the truth is, it's a trap. The more you rely on others for validation, the more you give away your power. You start to define yourself by what others think, and in doing so, you lose touch with who you really are. Validation from others can be fleeting. People's opinions shift like the wind, and the moment you find yourself dependent on it, you'll feel like you're constantly chasing something that's just out of reach. If you tie your happiness to other people's approval, you're setting yourself up for a roller coaster of highs and lows based on what other people think, and that's no way to live. The problem is, no matter how much validation you get, it will never truly fill you up. It might feel good for a moment, but eventually, you'll find yourself hungry for more. The only validation that's real, lasting, and fulfilling comes from within. When you drop the need for external validation, you give yourself the freedom to be authentic. You stop worrying about what others expect from you, and you start doing things for your own reasons. You find joy in your own achievements, whether or not anyone notices. You learn to trust your own instincts and make decisions based on your values, not on the approval of others. This shift doesn't mean that you stop valuing relationships or feedback. It just means that you stop using other people's opinions as the benchmark for your self-worth. True, confidence comes from knowing that you are enough without needing anyone else to tell you so. It comes from the quiet assurance that you are worthy because you exist, not because of anything you've done or anything someone else says about you. When you drop the need for validation, you free yourself from the weight of constant comparison and judgment. You start living life on your own terms, not according to anyone else's standards. And in doing so, you'll find that the only validation you really need is the one you give yourself. Say no to the things that drain you. It's so easy to get caught up in the habit of saying yes to every request, every favor, every opportunity, even when your gut tells you it's not right for you. We've all been there, stretching ourselves too thin, agreeing to things because we feel obligated or because we fear letting someone down. But here's the reality: saying yes to everything means saying no to yourself. Every time you agree to something that drains you, you're giving away precious time and energy that you could be using for your own well-being, growth, or joy. Learning to say no is not about being selfish. It's about being self-aware. It's about recognizing when something doesn't align with your values, when it's not worth your time, or when it's simply taking more from you than you can afford to give. And that's okay. In fact, it's necessary. By saying no to the things that drain you, you're protecting your peace of mind, your emotional health, and your energy. You're creating space in your life for the things that truly matter, the things that light you up and help you move toward your goals. One of the biggest obstacles to saying no is the fear of disappointing others or being perceived as rude. But here's the truth. People who respect you will understand when you need to prioritize yourself. Saying no doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a person who values their time and their boundaries. You can say no with kindness without guilt and without apologizing for it. It's a skill that not only protects your mental and emotional well-being, but also teaches others to respect your limits. Saying no also allows you to say yes to the right things, the things that nurture you, inspire you, and contribute to your growth. When you start saying no to the things that drain you, you create more space for the things that uplift you. You give yourself permission to invest your energy in relationships, activities, and opportunities that truly resonate with you. It's a practice of self-care and self-respect, and it's one of the most powerful tools you can use to reclaim control of your life. So get comfortable with saying no. It's one of the most freeing decisions you can make. Don't take life too seriously. We often find ourselves trapped in the seriousness of life, as if every single moment requires us to be intensely focused, responsible, and on point. But here's the thing, life isn't a high-stakes game where every move counts. In fact, the more you take it too seriously, the more you miss out on the joy and spontaneity that make life truly meaningful. When you get caught up in the pressure of making everything perfect, you lose sight of the simple pleasures, the laughter, the lightness that come with just being alive. Taking life too seriously can lead to constant stress and burnout. We worry about making the right decisions, meeting the right expectations, and being successful by everyone else's standards. But the truth is, life is unpredictable, and it's full of unexpected twists, turns, and let's face it, chaos. If you try to control every outcome and stress over every little detail, you'll drive yourself mad. Life has a way of throwing curveballs, and if you can't laugh at the absurdity of it all, you'll spend your days frustrated and anxious, missing out on the beauty in the mess. Don't get me wrong, responsibility is important, and there are certainly moments in life that require seriousness and focus. But for the most part, we need to give ourselves permission to laugh, to let go of perfection, and to embrace the imperfect, quirky moments that make life interesting. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not have it all figured out. In fact, those moments of messiness and vulnerability are often the ones that teach us the most about ourselves and the world around us. Think about the times when you've laughed at something you did wrong, or when a mistake turned into a funny story. Life's most memorable moments aren't always the ones that go according to plan. They're often the ones where things go hilariously wrong. So lighten up. When things don't go your way, instead of getting frustrated, try to find the humor in it. Recognize that life isn't some rigid script you have to follow. It's an adventure full of surprises, and the more you can laugh at the absurdity of it all, the more you'll enjoy the ride. Taking life too seriously keeps you stuck in fear and doubt. When you stop taking everything so seriously, you open yourself up to greater freedom and creativity. You allow yourself to take risks, make mistakes, and not be paralyzed by the idea of failure. You start to see that the journey is just as important as the destination, and you can enjoy the ride no matter how bumpy it gets. So let go of the weight of perfection and start living with a little more lightness. Life is far too short to take it all too seriously. Let go of control. It's human nature to want to control the circumstances of our lives, to have everything mapped out and planned. We like to believe that if we control every detail, we can avoid failure, disappointment, or chaos. But here's the reality, control is an illusion. No matter how hard you try to micromanage your life, there will always be forces beyond your control. Other people, unexpected events, random outcomes, and trying to control everything only creates stress and frustration. When you cling too tightly to the need for control, you're essentially resisting the flow of life. Life is unpredictable, and that's what makes it exciting and worth living. The more you try to control every little thing, the more you close yourself off to the possibilities that arise when you simply let things unfold. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. It slips through your fingers no matter how hard you grip. But when you let go and allow things to flow, you'll find that life often works itself out in surprising and sometimes even better ways than you could have planned. Letting go of control doesn't mean becoming passive or apathetic. It doesn't mean you stop making decisions or stop taking action. It means acknowledging that there are limits to what you can control and finding peace in that fact. It's about trusting the process, even when you don't know how things will turn out. Sometimes the best things happen when you stop overthinking and just take the next step, without worrying about every single outcome. This doesn't mean giving up responsibility. It means understanding that there is a difference between what's in your hands and what isn't. You can control your attitude, your effort, and your responses, but you can't control how others behave or how life will unfold in ways you didn't expect. Letting go of control frees you from the anxiety of trying to orchestrate every move. It allows you to trust that things will fall into place even when they seem messy or uncertain. The beauty of letting go of control is that you give yourself the space to experience life as it is, not as you think it should be. You open yourself up to new opportunities, new experiences, and new ways of thinking that you may have missed if you were too rigidly holding on to your plans. It's in this freedom that creativity flourishes, new relationships form, and unexpected joys come into your life. Life is far less exhausting when you stop trying to control every single aspect. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up on your goals or dreams. It means recognizing that life will unfold in its own way, and you don't have to force every outcome. You can trust that the universe has a plan for you, even when you can't see it. By letting go, you make room for the magic of the unknown to take you to places you never imagined. Let go of control and let life surprise you. Trust in the power of saying, "I don't know." It's a phrase that can feel uncomfortable, even vulnerable. We live in a world that values certainty and expertise, and there's often an unspoken pressure to have all the answers, to appear confident and in control at all times. But here's the truth. Nobody has all the answers, and the more you try to pretend that you do, the more you box yourself into a corner. There is incredible strength in admitting that you don't have everything figured out. In fact, saying "I don't know" is a powerful tool for growth, learning, and connection. When you say "I don't know," you're opening yourself up to possibilities. It's an invitation to explore, to ask questions, to learn from others. It's the recognition that there is always more to discover, more to understand, and that it's okay not to have all the pieces of the puzzle. Saying "I don't know" is an act of humility and honesty. It acknowledges that you don't have all the answers, but that you're willing to seek them out. And in a world that often values pretending over authenticity, this honesty is rare and refreshing. There is a kind of freedom in admitting that you don't know something. You release the pressure to be perfect, to have everything under control, or to always appear knowledgeable. You stop the exhausting cycle of pretending and start embracing the journey of discovery. Instead of trying to put on a front, you can embrace the uncertainty and enjoy the process of learning, knowing that it's okay to not have all the answers right now. This mindset opens you up to new experiences, new ways of thinking, and new perspectives that you might have missed if you were too busy trying to pretend that you already knew everything. Saying "I don't know" also strengthens your relationships with others.
But that's so.
When you admit that you don't have all the answers, it creates a sense of camaraderie and mutual respect. It shows that you are willing to listen and grow alongside others, rather than feeling the need to be the expert in every conversation. It invites others to share their knowledge, ideas, and experiences, and fosters a deeper connection based on openness and trust. Trusting in the power of saying "I don't know" also allows you to be more adaptable and flexible. Life is constantly changing, and the world around us is full of uncertainties. If you cling too tightly to what you think you know, you'll miss the opportunities that come from embracing the unknown. When you're comfortable saying "I don't know," you free yourself from the rigidity of trying to control every aspect of your life and open yourself up to the infinite possibilities that exist in the space of not knowing. In a way, saying "I don't know" is an act of courage. It takes courage to step away from the fear of judgment and acknowledge your own limitations. It's a reminder that it's okay to be a work in progress, that growth happens when we admit that we don't have it all figured out. So the next time you're faced with a situation where you don't have all the answers, try saying "I don't know." You might just be surprised at how much freedom and power you find in that simple, honest phrase. The magic of detachment is one of the most transformative practices you can embrace in life. We often find ourselves deeply attached to outcomes, people, or situations, believing that our happiness depends on things going a certain way. This attachment can create a sense of anxiety as we constantly worry about maintaining control or ensuring that everything turns out perfectly. But here's the thing, detachment doesn't mean giving up or withdrawing emotionally. It means learning to let go of the need for control and the expectation that things must unfold according to our desires. It's the ability to engage with life fully while maintaining the peace that comes from not being overly invested in how things will turn out. Detachment is about shifting from a mindset of grasping to one of allowing. When you're detached, you don't cling to people, outcomes, or circumstances in such a way that they dictate your sense of self-worth or happiness. You recognize that life is unpredictable, and that the only thing you can control is your response to it. You release the fear that if something doesn't go your way, everything will fall apart. Instead, you understand that sometimes life doesn't go according to plan, and that's okay. In fact, it often leads to better unexpected opportunities or lessons that you couldn't have anticipated. The beauty of detachment is that it frees you from unnecessary emotional baggage. When you stop holding on to outcomes, you create space in your life for true peace. You can invest in people and projects without expecting them to fulfill all your emotional needs. You begin to find joy in the process, not just the result. Whether it's a relationship, a career path, or a personal goal, detachment allows you to enjoy what is without tying your happiness to the end result. This doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care without the heavy attachment that leads to stress, disappointment, or frustration. Detachment also allows you to navigate challenges and disappointments with greater ease. Instead of getting caught up in frustration when things don't go your way, you accept the situation as it is and adapt. You stop forcing things to happen and instead become more attuned to the natural flow of life. This shift can lead to greater resilience. When you're not emotionally tangled in every outcome, you can bounce back more quickly from setbacks. You take the lessons and move forward without letting the past hold you back. One of the most powerful aspects of detachment is how it transforms your relationships. When you're detached, you no longer need others to behave a certain way to feel okay about yourself. You can love deeply but without the pressure of needing to possess or control. You can support others without making their choices or their happiness the burden of your own. In relationships, detachment allows for healthy boundaries, mutual respect, and freedom. You give others the space to be themselves just as you give yourself the freedom to be who you are. Detachment doesn't mean you disengage from life, it means you engage in a way that is free from the suffocating grip of attachment. It's about letting go of the need for things to be a certain way and trusting that life will unfold as it's meant to. When you live with detachment, you learn to find peace in the uncertainty, joy in the moment, and strength in the knowledge that you can handle whatever comes your way. Detachment is magic because it opens the door to a life full of freedom, calm, and acceptance. It allows you to live fully without the weight of attachment dragging you down. As you step away from the weight of needing to control everything, seeking constant validation, and fearing judgment, remember that life is a journey, not a destination. Embrace the uncertainties, laugh at the missteps, and trust in the process. Say no to the things that drain you and yes to the things that light you up. Let go of perfection and start living authentically, knowing that you are enough exactly as you are. The magic lies in your willingness to let go of what holds you back and to step boldly into the unknown. So take a deep breath, trust yourself, and remember life is far more beautiful when you stop taking it so seriously. Go out there and live it fully, without the fear, the doubt, or the need to have all the answers. The best version of you is waiting on the other side of that freedom.